Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. This is Olivier, co-founder of One TDC, and today I have a special treat. I've got two very important guests. I think you guys know well that One TDC is a very well-known supplement for canine sports athletes, and we see ourselves as the superior canine athlete supplement. So, who better yet but to talk to the superior world of dog agility with the co-founders of UKI. So, Laura and Greg, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. Yeah, good to see you.
Same here, and we've been talking a lot. We have a lot going on with One TDC and UKI, but I wanted the audience to get a chance. Many of the folks know you, but they don't really always know you that well. So I was hoping that we could kind of get to know you better, know your history with this incredible sport. So I'm going to get right into this. First, I have to ask both of you, and obviously there may be a different answer between the two of you, is how long have you two been doing dog agility?
Well, I actually started in 1998, so I think that's 27 years now.
Wow. Wow,
Yeah,
that's
but
a while.
he beats me. He beats me.
Yeah, I started in '88 training, and my first competition was in '90. So yeah, this is my 35th competition season coming up. So
Wow.
quite long.
That's longer than some competitors have been around. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's a
That's
lot harder now than it was in 1990. That's for sure. Being fit enough to do it, but yeah, it's
wow. That's pretty incredible. So I have to ask, how did you guys get into canine sports to begin with? Were you doing any other sports before? Did you have, how did that happen?
So I was actually at the time teaching pet obedience classes,
Hmm.
and I had a golden retriever and was doing obedience competitions, and it just wasn't that fun. So I heard this thing called agility and thought, okay, I'm going to go check it out. And I decided if I'm going to get involved in something, I'm going to learn from the best. And so I was in California and I went up to Power Paws with Nancy Guys and Jim
Yeah.
Basics and taken lessons there. First lesson, totally hooked. And within a year, I actually started teaching dog agility classes. And
Mm.
I had a long-time student who became like a father to me. His name was John Nunes. He built a field that had two full fields, um, built me two full fields of equipment and said, here, it's yours, open your school. And
Wow.
it was amazing. I mean, it just kind of all fell into place for me. And so I was teaching agility for several years, which is sort of how we met as well. And then,
yeah. Mine's a slightly different story, but similar in I was a 12-year-old kid, wanted to have a dog. Parents let me have a dog if I took it to the training classes, took it to pet obedience, um, found that I was quite good at dog training and progressed really quickly. And they pushed me into the instructors. They were like, "You need to do agility as well." Pushed me into agility and started training that. Started being successful. And as a 13, 14-year-old kid, when you start beating adults, it's quite addictive. So I kind of, I sort of, by the time I was going to university, I was training part-time, paying for my keep through university, basically. And yeah, so that's really sort of had a dog. Parents said, well, if you're having a dog, you have to do dog training. And that's really how I got into it. And it just sort of kept growing from there.
That's amazing, Greg, because if you think about it, I don't think your parents knew that, you may have gone to university, but this ended up being your career. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. I mean,
pretty.
by the time I finished university, I was getting offers to travel all over the world. So I've actually got a degree in landscape design, but I worked in the for about 8 weeks before I decided that no, I'm going to travel the world doing seminars for a
That's
while before
incredible.
I assumed I would come back to it after, sort of the initial travel died down, but it lasted sort of 15 years I was traveling before really UKI and UKE took off to such an extent that We're knock that down. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Quite
I actually had a degree in environmental planning and same thing. How did I go from that to not having anything to do with it and straight into dog agility? So just never know.
That's a great story. So we have to know, how did the two paths meet between the two of you?
It was actually up at Power Pause. He was doing a seminar. So I guess it was a teacher student thing.
Well, after that many
That was
years, yeah,
it.
after that many years, I think it's quite all right.
Yeah, yeah.
Good for you guys. So you've obviously, and we're going to talk about UKI in a second, but you've obviously been in the sport for a long time. In the sports, I mean, you're right, you taught me over 30 years. It's evolved a lot. We hear a lot of changes that have taken place. So I'd love to get you guys' take on, where's the sport been, where is it at today, and where do you see the evolution of the sport?
Yeah, I think for 20 plus years, or the first 20 I was in it, it was a lot about the equipment improving, the standard of competition, the facilities we went to. Um, and then I would say in the last 10 years, what we've seen evolve dramatically is course design.
Mhm.
That's changing. Obviously, safety has always been there, but is in this nowadays world is a much more important topic.
Mhm.
Um, I think we've seen things like handler and dog fitness changed quite a lot. Probably sort of 15 years ago, people started thinking more about handler fitness. I
Yes.
think probably early 2000s, we were already getting chiropractors to look at dogs and massage therapists and starting to use supplements, back that far back. But I think dog fitness came first. Now handler fitness is just as important. Um, Speed is dramatically increased, I think, in the sport because of the course
That's
design. We've gone from, we're going to talk in metrics, but sort of 5 meter courses. So what's that, 15-foot distances
Mhm.
through now to 27 to 30 foot, 9 to 10 meter distances. So I think that's made a big difference to the speed of the sport, the technical level of the sport is a different kind of technical level now. It's still the old technical stuff was very tight, twisty, lots and lots of multiple turns, whereas now it's more about technical speed, with the dog getting further away from handlers and
Mhm.
more at distance because of that course design.
And wasn't we think about like the distances were quite close, weren't they?
Mm.
But also the jump heights. Jump heights are lower, so dogs are able to go faster. And
Yeah,
they were at what, 30 inches?
yeah.
The full
We
height dogs?
were
Wow.
any well, when I first came into the sport, there was only two jump heights. There was small and large, and
Mhm.
I can't remember what the cutoff was, but it was around the 15, 16 inch dog. So anything above 16 inches was jumping 30 inches when I first came into the sport. So obviously that's one of the huge differences from 35 years ago to what we see now, certainly in North America, where UKI's got 11 different jump height cutoffs with the select heights as well, and dogs jumping far lower in relation to their body height. So, which again is not only a safety issue, but has massively changed
Mm.
the speed of sport.
Wow.
Obviously with dogs jumping lower, the apex is flatter, and therefore they're covering the ground a lot quicker. Your second part of your question is where do we see it going in the future? Um, I think course design still got a lot of variations we're going to see. I think that's where we're pushing. Obviously, safety is always a hot topic nowadays. So I think we'll probably see equipment evolving, maybe some equipment disappearing over the next 15 years, possibly. I mean, it's a difficult one to answer on where we're going to see that, but I see that safety is going to be a safety and course design are the two things that are going to continue to evolve, I think, a lot.
And that makes sense. We hear that a lot. I mean, the safety aspect, there's been a lot of evolution take place. One of the things,
Yeah.
I'll give you guys a compliment for UKI specifically. The feedback that I get from competitors, even judges, is you guys have done a really good job evolving and pivoting as necessary because it makes sense. So I think that's the part, and even ourselves with One TDC in a relationship with you guys, what we've enjoyed is you're not stuck into a box. There's always kind of like let's think it through and let's see what makes sense. And I think that's the compliment for you guys and your team, great team that you guys have, is this sense of what makes sense for the athletes and what ultimately what makes sense for the canine athletes and do what's right. So definitely commend you guys and your leadership there. That I think a lot of competitors appreciate that. Um,
Yeah, I think we benefit because we still compete. I'm still at Crufts next weekend, or 2 weekends time. So and Laura's got two dogs that are competing at a high level in Great Britain as well. So we're still in and around the sport as competitors, and I think both of us are. Whenever we run an event, we always try and think first of what would the competitor want from this.
right.
It's more than anything else. It's more than we look after our sponsors and everything, and the organization. But I think we always try and think of the competitor is the priority and what makes a cool event for a competitor. And that's where we
Yeah.
start planning from. And what would we want if we were running a dog at this event?
Absolutely.
How do we want it to happen, kind of thing. So
I wish we could run our dogs at our events.
Uh, well, and my observation too, because we're One TDC is involved in many different canine sports, but our observation. It's a very demanding sport with demanding competitors as well. And I think, and you won't always please everybody. There's always something that happens, but that's also a good testament because I've seen how much you guys have grown in the USA. It's pretty remarkable. So I think you guys have done a good job catering to the needs. And for us in the US and North America overall with Canada, it's helped the North Americans get better at the sport to have a greater chance of being, competitive internationally.
Yeah,
And we've seen that. There's a lot of competitors from North
yeah,
America that have done a tremendous job. And when we talk to them, offline, they'll tell us UKI is a key. They need to compete UKI to get themselves prepared for those, the AWC, the WAO, the EO, and so
right.
forth, to be
Yeah.
ready for that. So that kind of leads me to a question for you guys. From your own words, how do you see UKI being different? What's different in your eyes and what you guys set out to do with UKI?
Well, I think what you said basically that we are competitors first and foremost.
Yes.
Um, and I think what we bring to the table is the fact that we are competitors, that we are involved in judging and judging education, that we're dog trainers. So, and that we've run events from a local level to a national level to an international level. So we kind of bring that all together, that combination all together whenever we're coming up with new rules or just refining rules or planning new tournaments, which we like to do because we want to cater for everybody. So it's,
Mhm.
whether it's a weekend warrior or the elite athlete for that's what we're looking to cater to with our rules and our events.
Yeah, I think from a North American point of view, it was quite different to European agility. So when I
Yeah.
was coming over in early 2000s and just it was a clear, almost a different sport
Mhm.
with the course designs that you were seeing. And so I think we bring a lot more of the international flavor
Yes.
so that we're bringing the trends and not all of Europe's great. There's European agility is brilliant. We get that in Great Britain as well. That European agility is brilliant, and there's a lot of good. So I think we can look at the both sides of the European agility, British agility, which is also slightly different, and North American agility, and we're in a position where we see all three on a very regular basis, which also helps us. Well, think well, that's not very good, so let's get rid of that. But what they're doing over there works really well, so let's
Yeah.
bring that in, incorporate that into UKI. So I think we're quite lucky with just the exposure we get to lots of different agility organisations and ideas through our competing. I'm Team GB manager for the Kennel Club, for example, so I see that side of the sport
Mm.
and those handlers on dealing with that level of the handler through to the low level training that clubs that we used to run. So we see those different things. I think that's helped to develop UKI for multiple different types of people.
And I think you touched on it earlier, but one of the things that we always said, we'd be very receptive to feedback.
Yes.
So a lot of times, even some of our tournaments, new tournaments that, we've created have been from somebody contacting us and saying, "Hey, I've got a really good idea."
Mm,
And we can then right away, you know, talk
absolutely.
about it and then implement it. So we're always happy to listen to feedback.
Yeah, that's important. And I will tell you also at the vendor standpoint, which is what one TDC is. We've always had a great relationship with you guys. It's always been very easy to work with and flexible from that standpoint. So we really appreciate that. So let's talk about that specifically. So the one TDC Invitational is coming up in Chicago next month.
Woohoo!
Yeah, we're excited. It's the second year of the inauguration. From our
Yeah.
standpoint, it went really well. We got incredible feedback from the competitors. So tell us a little bit more for those that perhaps may have heard of the One TDC Invitational. What exactly is this event, and what should people expect?
Yeah, so when we came up with the idea, it was um, basically competitors asking for an event like WO. So the basis of it was, okay, well, we'll use the WO events, but also try to make a one final at the end of it. So there's a biathlon, there's a pentathlon, so 5 runs in the pentathlon, and then there's games of gamblers and snooker. So the basic WO events are there, and then one of the other sort of things we had was we've got the US Open in Florida, we've got the West Coast Open in California, the Canadian Open, which
That's right.
swaps coast, is up there, and a lot of people not doing all three, but doing one or two. And then the sort of the comment on, well, who's the best? So the idea of
Mhm.
the was to try and bring the three big UK events in North America together, and sort of celebrate the best of the sport throughout North America, and in a head-to-head competition where they could come together. We also tried to find, the reason it's based in Chicago, it was more of a central area that we hadn't got one of the big events in. And another thing with it was the initial goal with the Invitational was to get it onto an AstroTurf surface, sort of
Mhm.
indoor, temperature controlled. Just because in Florida we've got the dirt surface of an equestrian centre, out of the West Coast we've got the natural turf. So it's sort of a third popular surface in agility, which again you often see at the AWC, for example, World Cup is on AstroTurf. So it's a great surface to run events on as well. So it was trying to create a different event but bring everything together over one weekend, and a time of year as well that was not going to clash with our other big events. So that just to give that option for people.
Yeah, no,
Um,
totally. And the facility that you guys picked is really nice, really well set up.
Yeah,
It
it's
was
a lovely, lovely. I mean, running events is we love running the event there. We only done the one year, but
It's one of
it
our
just
easiest events to
yeah,
run there. Yeah.
AstroTurf indoors, temperature controlled. So for all the IT equipment and all the cabling, or course
yeah,
building, surface prep, there isn't any on AstroTurf. It's done. So
yeah.
all those kind of jobs that you struggle with at other venues, outdoors and dirt, sand arenas that make everything difficult at times. It's a beautiful venue to run an event, that's for sure.
It is in a very safe venue as well. And you're
Yeah.
going to have some pretty cool judges there as well,
Yeah.
setting up some fun courses. Just had an interview just yesterday actually with Jan, and he's planning on make his own words, make it fun. So, but I think it's fun and challenging, knowing
Yeah.
I was
him.
gonna say it depends on what fun means.
That's right. That's right. And he was funny because he said, because I asked him, I said, what should we expect? He said, well, study some of the courses I've done already. That's just kind of what you're going to be getting. So he was, it should be fun. So tell us actually about the judges. We have Jan from Norwegian.
Yes.
Sorry, yeah.
We've got Jan from Norway, and Keen's also from
Keen.
Norway.
Yep.
I mean, Jan is Jan Gillied. He's probably one of the biggest names, if not the biggest name in judging at the moment. Yeah, very distinct style of course design that's a lot of the next level of judges, I would say, try and emulate. So he's really pushed the change in course design the last 10 years.
Yeah.
He's at the forefront of that. So he's judged for us WO as well last year, and just a great judge, good guy, fun to be with,
Fun to be with, yeah.
and really good. You know, he's at the forefront of course design basically. So that was, and Keane is also very close to his level. You know, got a very big reputation in Europe. She's WO judge this year, so she's hopefully we're bringing her into the one TTC this year, so that anyone in North America who's got WO, a few weeks before they go to WO, they actually get to run courses. So that was kind of a goal of this event as well. If we can get the WO judges in and around it, it gives people the
That
prep
opportunity,
and actually
yeah.
see the kind of courses they're really going to get at WO. So she's very similar in her course design to Jan. Courses are very similar in their philosophy, the way they design and the build. And then yeah, we got I would say two of the top judges from the US. So we also, you know, we wanted to make the one TDC sort of international, but we also wanted to, you know, stay with the root of it's North America. So
Yes.
and we got Dave Grewell and Mike Wagner are judging those. They're both brilliant at games, competitors as well as judges. So that's also obviously important when you've got an event like this. Games judges, the European judges tend to want to avoid games at all costs when they judge. So some like them, but a lot of them just don't see them. So, you know, judging them at this level, they tend not. So, you know, those guys are, you know, Dave and Mike are just great games competitors as well as judges. So they know the rules inside out, which is great. And they bring a sort of slightly different course design flavor, you know, more of a traditional American. I mean, definitely more modern. So than the traditional America, I should say. But it's got, you know, it's a more of an American course feel to the design they've got. So we've got the balance of courses coming through. And I think most people will be able to see the difference in the different design trends from the two continents, which I think is really cool to have an event because you've then got that variety, you know, whatever type of style of course you like, you've got one you like and one that might challenge you, which the best dogs should be able to cope with both,
Yeah.
you know, the best handlers. So I think, yeah, we've got a good balance this year with that.
And
And
well,
really, I think they're all four of them are great.
Yeah, they're good, all good people.
Great to be with and great to work with. I mean, we've been designing courses, or they've been designing courses, but I'm on the approval side of it. So we've been working together since September. So
nice.
we do a course a month, and it gives us lots of time to really try and iron out as many issues and, you know, back and forward, and each judge helping each other. So all four judges are involved in everyone's course, so they all give each other feedback. So so they've been, yeah, a pleasure to work with on course designs. And again, hopefully that will lead to a really cool event because there's a lot of thought gone into the courses from not just the judge who's designing, but the other three judges, and then hopefully a little bit of feedback from me, which hopefully is beneficial.
Excellent. Well, and you're right. You guys have built a really good team. And that's one thing I've mentioned this earlier, but the events that you guys run, you have some really dedicated people, at least the folks that I know a bit more in North America. So kudos to your leadership there. But it's a small but mighty team. And I know the one TDC Invitational very well run last year. I think you guys have built some really solid next steps here with pretty amazing judges. And to your point, I like the fun and competitiveness and so forth, but they also have a great personality. They are
Yes.
really fun folks to be with. So I do not know Jan, but it'll be fun to get to know him. But you know, Mike and Dave and those are they can actually be serious, but have a lot of fun at the same time. So they have kind
Yeah.
of that good mixture. So it keeps you know, at the end of the day, it's a sport and to, you know, to have fun. So they have that mindset. So it should definitely be a lot of fun. I do have one last questions for you guys. One of the things that's important to us in looking in the love of canine sports, it's its growth. And the growth of the sport, there's no hiding it. It's getting fresh blood into it. And like you were guys telling your stories, you guys were very young when you started. And you know, Greg, you were 12 years old. So if in your own words, what can we do collectively to make the sports more known and more attractive to the youth so we can actually bring that next generation? Any thoughts on that? Or maybe things that you guys are thinking about planning?
Yeah, I think it's yeah, definitely that's the next generation is the key for the sport, not only to bring them in, but also make sure they're pushing the sport in the right direction. So, I mean, here back in the UK, I'm team manager for GB, which is also the junior team. So I've had a lot of fun the last 3 years working with the junior handlers, and like there's some brilliant talent coming through in our sport. And at the Junior World Cup, you've also got a fairly good sized American team comes over, and I think there was a Canadian team last year as well. So there are junior handlers at the higher level. I think where we're probably struggling as a sport everywhere is bringing them in the lower level and then keeping them in and looking
Mhm.
after them. So, I mean, we've always had a junior event at the US Open, so their results combined together, sponsored by Agility University, and they provide some pretty good prizes. But it's never been a huge number of
Yeah,
juniors competing there. So I think it's more trying to get the access. We've tried to, or we have brought in free junior membership.
Yeah, all
So
juniors have a
and
free
there's
handler
yeah,
membership with us.
so
that's
we don't
excellent.
charge.
Yeah.
We've also this year we're working with the Boundless Junior Agility company, which they run camps, but they're also running a championship this year. So we're involved in that. We're helping them with all the trial processing,
Yeah, and then they've
helping
also
them.
got a win on a
Yeah.
WAO win on spot.
So yeah, we provided an
So
extra WO spot
yeah,
Nice.
for that. So it's a difficult one with North America, I think, because of the size of the country and travel, and
kind of the expense of the
yeah,
sport.
we have
Yeah.
probably a bigger following in Europe because each country's a lot smaller.
Mhm.
So cost to the parent to get the child starting to compete is a lot cheaper. They can they travel to most events. They don't have to stay away. They don't have the long journeys. So I think that's some of the problems. So hopefully, working with the Bounders guys, we can sort of start getting stuff more at a local level, and maybe bring those events in. But it's definite that the sport as a whole, I think not just agility, I think dog sports as a whole, we need to be focusing on next generation. Otherwise, we are going to be top heavy with the older generation, and also you don't get the new ideas coming through. I mean,
That's right.
it's the younger generations that are probably pushing course design more than anybody because they're fresh to it. They're looking at it with a different perspective. Whereas people that have been in the sport, sort of myself, you see course design from 30 years ago, and you kind of get stuck in your ways. So it's good that the younger generation can challenge our generation on, where the sport needs to go. So
Well,
and
that's
social.
that's very honest in the reality of where we are with the sports and the evolution, bring the youth and who knows, some folks may be watching this and maybe they'll have some ideas. So we can, even though you're right, Canada,
Yeah.
Yeah,
US is a big
yeah,
country, but there's got to be some ways. And with technology nowadays, I mean, that was
Yeah.
probably one of the huge benefits of the pandemic is this adjustment of communication, even showing going through courses online and
Yeah.
qualifying and so forth. So I think there's definitely some opportunities in the future.
Yeah. And
It,
I do know that a lot of our shows, the trial managers themselves will, lower the fees for juniors, or they do something special to make it more accessible for them. So
right.
hopefully that will begin to catch on because we all do see it's important to get the youth involved.
Yeah, more to come. Maybe we need a one TDC Junior Invitational. Who knows?
Well, we'll start thinking.
There you go. Guys, I want to thank you for your time to take this time out of your busy schedule. I can't wait to see you guys in March, and it's going to be a great event. So thank you for your time, guys.
And thank you.
yeah. Thank you. Thanks for having us. Look forward to seeing you in Chicago.
March.
That's right, around the corner.